And Director Hillian's given his regrets, I believe, so,
Yep.
So I think we're good to go. All right, we'll start our Comox Valley Regional District Board meeting now for May 28th. And I just want to start by recognizing we are meeting on the unceded traditional territories of the Comox First Nation. And I see a couple of people in the gallery. I'm not sure how familiar you are, but in case of emergency, we can exit through the entrance that you came through, but there's also exits next to us here, and we muster out in the parking lot. And having said that, we'll start into our meeting agenda, and we do have a recommendation to go in camera.
We'll adjourn in camera after the public session.
Second.
Excellent. Are there any questions regarding going in camera? See none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. Next, we have adoption of minutes from the Regional District Board from April 30th. Excellent. Are there any questions regarding the minutes? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. Next, we have Integrated Regional Transportation Select Committee from April 29th. Excellent. Are there any questions or comments regarding the minutes? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. We have Committee of the Whole minutes from May 7th. Any questions regarding the Committee of the Whole minutes? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And now we're going to...
Committee minutes.
Second.
Excellent. Are there any questions regarding the Electoral Area Services minutes? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes.
Move recommendation 1. Second.
Excellent. Are there any questions on recommendation 1? See none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes.
Move to.
And Mr. Chair, before you consider the next two recommendations, I'll just remove myself from the meeting as my wife is chair of the Land Commission. I just do not participate in these matters. So Mark Rutten will sit in my place for the next two recommendations.
Fantastic. All right.
Still move to.
Excellent. The door's closed, so we will go on to recommendation 2. All those in, any questions? If you have a, yes?
No, I was voting.
I like it. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes.
Second.
Excellent. Any questions on recommendation 3? See none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes.
Move 4. Let's get our CEO back.
All right. Standing by.
Commander-in-Chief.
Second.
We should make him bring yogurt every time he's got to leave the room.
You're pushing
I'm
it.
just protocol. We have to have protocol in place. Oh, yeah. Shh. Excellent. Any questions on recommendation 4? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes.
Move 5.
Second.
Excellent. Any questions on recommendation 5? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes.
Move 6. Second.
Excellent. And any questions or comments regarding recommendation 6? Seeing none.
No questions for Comox?
I'm
You guys going to shed a little tear?
all right. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. Next, we have recommendation 7.
And sorry, Mr. Chair, before you consider motions to approve this recommendation, I would like to just provide an update, and that is this recommendation was provided by the Electoral Area Directors Committee in consideration of trying to provide an alternative solution for bulk water on Denman Island. But since that time, GLID, the Graham Lake Improvement District, which are the ones that treat the water and provide the water, have not been able to provide conditions that are conducive to bulk water provision. So we have an alternative recommendation for the consideration of the board. It's somewhat similar to the second part of this recommendation, and it would read thus: that staff be directed to investigate alternatives for bulk water sale on Denman Island to inform a recommendation back to the Electoral Area Services Committee. So we're just reducing our participation in this, but along the same lines of trying to find a solution for the future.
All right. And Director Arbour, you had a question or comment?
No, I just want to support what our CEO just talked about. Unfortunately, it's a little setback, and so just so you know that as area, I'm definitely in support of the amended recommendation, and hopefully we'll find a path for Denman Islanders, or help find a path.
Thanks very much. And Director Frisch.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I just wanted to confirm that when we go through these resolutions, they are generally funded 100% by the regional district areas. Is that correct?
I'll turn it over to staff, but generally.
The best indication of who they are funded by or who gets to vote on them, but there are conditions like this one where it is all. But yes, I wish to confirm for this particular case, it would be an electoral area that would do any feasibility and ultimately pay for the service.
Yeah.
And the reason for it to be being all is because it's only in one area.
One electoral area, yeah.
You can't have any directors.
Fair
make
enough.
sense?
I just wanted to confirm that everything that falls under electoral area would essentially be funded by those electoral areas.
Yeah.
Yep, and don't hesitate ever to ask, and we can confirm
Yeah.
that.
Thank you.
And for alternate director Minions, there's all sorts of rules, and alternate director McCullum, there's lots of rules, and then there's exceptions to those rules. So this would be one of those exceptions. So, and again, I'm not sure how frequently you guys have been to the regional district, but it does say on the agendas on the right-hand side who gets to vote. So whether you put your hand up or not, if you're not supposed to vote, it'll only get counted if it's supposed to. Yeah.
So may I ask, because I think we moved the whole thing, so do you want us to take that back and
It's up on the board there, so do we need to
Just ask for a
amend?
mover and seconder.
Just a mover and seconder.
I'll second that.
All right. All right. Any questions on the motion as shown? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. Next, we have recommendation 8.
Second.
And are there any questions or comments regarding recommendation 8? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. Next, we move on to the Sewage Commission.
move a seat?
Second.
All right. Any questions on the May 14th minutes? Director Hamir, did you?
Yes, sorry, I just wanted to go over the motions that had happened around Area B representation on sewage. So the motion that was passed was that Area B could be a non-voting member related to Curtis Road odor issues, if that came up. And I guess, since I wasn't there, was there ever any discussion around what happens when, for example, a Croto Beach issue comes up, like a pump station number 2? Because other than odor, Area B is impacted by conveyance options, like the, so I didn't want to limit my participation or this position's participation only to odor, because it would also impact our residents are going to be impacted by other events because the pollution control center is in Area B, so pipes, whatever coming. I know staff are going to be looking into the matter, but and I don't see anything in the meantime. Like the odor issue is kind of front of center.
Yeah.
But I also didn't want to limit it just to odor in case an issue came up around sewage.
Yeah, and maybe we'll let staff comment, because
Sure.
I know there was a previous motion that was around pump station 2 and conveyance. So I'll look to you. I think Jake is.
So as Director Amir has indicated, there was a motion put forward to provide for participation with respect to odor. There was also a referral of that matter to staff to provide a report back. So staff are preparing a report for the June, I think it's the 11th, is our next Sewage Commission meeting. And that report will provide options both around participation of the electoral area B director, but also around what matters and whether it's non-voting or voting, and for the commission to consider.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So thanks, Director Hamir. See no other questions or comments. Yeah.
Sorry.
Director Frisch.
You know what, I'd just point out that as the chair of that commission, that you'll be attending, I presume anyways, to watch that debate go on, and I think we'll handle this as quickly as possible, and we do look forward to seeing your face around the table if the commission sees fit, so thanks.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks very much. And all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And there's a recommendation.
Move. Second.
Excellent. And are there any questions on the Hudson Sewer Trunk Connection Agreement? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And we have the Comox Valley Water Committee minutes.
Move 5.
Second.
And are there any questions regarding the Water Committee minutes? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. Next, we have Committee of the Whole, May 14th.
Second.
And do we have any questions? And Director Frisch?
It's a minor point, and I've lost the agenda on my computer, but I think I was actually missed on this attendance, and I actually was not in attendance, and I just wanted to point that out, though you guys forgot I even existed, apparently. I believe, sorry, and actually this isn't the right one, it's the May 7th meeting that I was not there for, so we may have already passed that.
Committee of the Whole or the May 7th?
Whatever was on
a
May
different-
7th, I wasn't there.
The board meeting?
And it wasn't this one, and I apologize for bringing it up at the wrong time now.
We'll take up a collection.
Yeah.
But I was on my way to the recycling conference, so I have a fair excuse, I think.
We could vote on that if you want. Fair enough. So all those in favor of the Committee of the Whole minutes for May 14th, any opposed? And that passes. And there's a recommendation. And are there any questions or comments regarding the recommendation? And seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And we have our second recommendation for Regional Housing Needs Report. And I have Director, hang on, I gotta get the mouse working here. Director Kettler.
Yeah, just an update that Cumberland had our council meeting last night, and we got the referral letter back to us regarding joining the regional district and the housing needs application, and we did rescind our first motion to go alone, and we have made a motion to join the regional district on this application.
Well, welcome. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for the update. And Jake.
Just also to advise the board that then recommendation number 3, which is to send the letter of reconsideration, is not really required for the board to pass. It was sent. We've now got a response. So.
Sometimes we act really fast. So yes, thanks to the Village of Cumberland. I think that will make a stronger application at the end of the day. So, and I think there was even last week at the Employee Housing Summit that was put on, there was a great showing of people from the Comox Valley, including Cumberland. So I think there's lots of good to come from it. So that being said, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And then we have any questions on recommendation 4, and that's to increase the Homeless Coalition funding update by $80,000. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes.
I was already voting on 5. Get my hand away.
All righty, we got recommendation 5. Did that get moved in second? Excellent. And that's for Hendy Dart expansion, and just again starting to get into the habit of saying what these recommendations are, not just referring to them by number, just so that people in the gallery as well as people who may be watching these meetings afterwards will know what we're talking about as well, because it's a secret. But oh yeah, exactly. But again, this is a habit that I think we need to start getting into. We've talked about it a couple of times, so I'll try to do it as well. I know I've been blasting through these as well. So recommendation 5 to increase the Hendy Dart expansion by 1,500 hours. Excellent. And are there any questions regarding the Hendy Dart expansion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. Which is the 2,000 conventional transit expansion. And does anybody have any questions or comments regarding this? See none. All those in favor? Any opposed?
For 600 custom.
6 second.
All right, that's for the 600 custom transit expansion. And do you have any questions or comments regarding that? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And doing 8, which is the Dantech Associates Transit analysis outlined, be received, and recommendations endorsed. So all those in favor? Oh, did we have a question? I'd almost, oh, okay. Yeah, no, I thought I saw a hand going for a button there. Okay. We're getting ready here. We're all like Hawkeyes here. All right, that passes, so thank you very much. Recommendation 9,
Moved on. Second.
and that's to move the Comox Valley achieve carbon neutrality of 2018. Are there any questions? And we do have Director Hamir.
So just a question about where our carbon is coming from. Like what are the sources that we need to offset from?
Sorry, I was asking for water. You were
Going
talking.
to multitask here.
We may have to. Can you answer the question?
Just call on Doug DeMarzo. Or Doug DeMarzo, our Acting General Manager of Community Services, can help to respond to that question as I pass water to the chair.
So primarily, carbon's coming from, to achieve carbon neutrality is coming from our fleet vehicles. We've had an increase in that use. Also from utilities, continue to reduce carbon through their use as well. So that's two of our primary sources.
Are we looking at trying to bring those numbers down at all? Is that a target for us?
Yeah, it's definitely a target for us, and we've, if you recall the meeting, we did have a graph that did have them coming down, and then now going back up just to the amount of services and the amount of moving around that we do. We've done a heat reclamation project at the pool, and that's helped, and we are also slowly electrifying our fleet, so that will continue to help even though there's increased usage of the fleet vehicles by staff. With the move to electrification, our other kind of fuels will definitely help over time.
Great, thank you.
Can I pipe in on that?
When it's your turn, absolutely. Director Arbor?
I think I'm stealing Dr. Frisch's comment. That's my prediction. Is there a need to have a second look at the fleet policy to facilitate electrification, or do you guys feel that that policy is good enough to get us to move on this?
I think the primary need with the fleet is we feel it's good enough. We have, we do replace our vehicles fairly regularly to keep them up to date and maintenance free, more or less, under the warranty period. So we're at a point where we just did a number of replacements. And unfortunately, we do need a large range given the area that we cover, and those vehicles weren't necessarily available at that time. So part of those recent replacements was that the fleet range wasn't there, and some of the need for four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive vehicles wasn't necessarily there a couple of years ago. And now, as we move forward, electric vehicles are still a little bit higher in price, but I think it's something that the managers will be able to look at with a greater lens to look with the sustainability objectives in mind.
That's great. And so we don't have targets per se in terms of saying that by 2022 X amount will be all electric or anything like that.
Not that I'm aware of, but I can get back to you unless you
Yeah,
guys
maybe
are
it'd be
aware of
great to get
something
the fleet
else.
policy back and for us to have a quick look, if that's possible or desirable. Thank you.
All right, and and I think Director Arbor, as well as other directors, were at the Move to Electric event that happened up at the Sports Center. I think almost 1,500 people attended, so I think there is definitely a lot more interest, even just from a year or two ago. So, Director Frisch.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I wonder actually if there's an opportunity to look at how our staff travel to and from work, and if that can be factored into these sorts of calculations. And I think, what can we save by having staff use transit or alternate modes of transportation? And is that even a possibility?
Yeah, good questions. I know we've looked at transit in the past as kind of one of those examples to expand into large workplaces. And I'm not sure the uptake on that, but I do also recall, I don't even think North Island College went down that route perhaps. But again, with the transit issue, it's often difficult with the hours. Obviously, being municipal staff, it might be a little bit easier. But people live in a variety of communities and areas within the region. So for those directly in Courtenay, yeah, we could probably promote walkability and stuff in the new office. But once you get outside, it gets a little more difficult to get to work on time by bus. Getting home's usually not a problem, but that's one of the issues with the transit situation. You have anything to add, Russell?
I was just going to say that the question was asked in terms of where our carbon is coming from, and obviously the fleet is one area. Perhaps what we do is inform the board in terms of where that carbon is being generated, where the potential is for us to reduce reflecting our fleet policy and provide that information between now and our strategic planning session where I know sustainability and meeting our targets such as carbon neutrality are important to you. So that's something that we'll bring back to you.
That'd be much appreciated. Thanks so much. And I appreciate that staff work long, hard hours.
Well, and I think, yeah. Well, I think at the hospital board, this was something that was brought up with the new hospitals as well, because here are some very large employers with lots of employees. And I think, again, that was one of the challenges, even just some of the people who don't even live in the valley, they might live in Kemper River or vice versa with the hospitals. And then just, even though they have a fairly fixed schedule, people are working overtime and those kinds of things, which really can impact their capacity to be on a fixed schedule. But I know it is something that was brought up at the hospital board, just given the fact that there were these two new hospitals. So, and Director Grant.
Thanks. I guess we're getting a little bit off topic here, but do we ever look to using gas tax money to buy electric vehicles? I know in Comox we did that, and typically gas tax doesn't work for buying vehicles, but it actually does for electric. And so you can use it for that, and then it doesn't really affect your budget too much, or I guess it could not. It didn't in our case, because we had a bit of a surplus, but it was just a way to spend gas tax money that seemed to work. And we actually paid a little more for the vehicle without affecting our budget. And it fit within the criteria too, so just a thought.
And what year did you guys purchase that? Was that recent or?
I'm going to say 4 years ago.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Well, yeah, we went into the weeds a little bit there, but some good information. All those in favor of the recommendation? Any opposed? Excellent. And that's for the 2019 carbon neutral strategy. And any questions regarding that? I think we may have covered some of that in the previous discussion. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And this is consider granting readings to the Comox Valley Regional District Officer Bylaw as outlined in the staff report. Any questions? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. Excellent. And this is for the bylaw compliance delegation of authority. So all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes.
I'll move 13 that staff be directed to proceed with the wood smoke correction program.
Second.
Excellent. And are there any questions regarding this? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right. Oh, Director Harbour. He's trying to make sure nobody wants to talk to him in Quebec, I think. There we go. Director Grieve.
Move 14.
I would just like to advise this board that the longer we prolong discussions like this, the more carbon dioxide we put in the atmosphere. So just a
Excellent.
thought.
You're saying politicians have an excess of hot air or something? Yeah. Excellent. All right. And I believe on CBC they were talking today about open burning and how the province is looking into that a lot more seriously right now in the rural areas. So we'll see what comes of that. And so I think that brings us up to 14. Oh, actually, we got people who want to talk. Director Frisch.
Well, I just wanted to confirm that there's an opportunity to vote this week for Director Grieve. Is that correct?
My campaign manager?
Oh, I see.
You're not giving a speech tonight.
That's the new rack card.
You couldn't put the text any smaller than that? I think the text is.
Different bullet points.
Yeah.
School graduation picture?
Yeah. His hair's a lot darker in the photo, I think. So. All right, but yeah, I think it is worth noting that Director Grieve is somebody that we can support at FCM and hopefully get him elected so he can represent our interests. And Director Hamir.
Right, thank you. And I love the idea of having Comox Valley representation on FCM. Just a question, Director Grieve, do you have any idea how often you have to travel regarding the FCM and where to generally?
Well, it changes.
Oh, here, let me get you fired back up there.
It changes year to year. But I think there's 4 major meetings and then some teleconferences. But if it's going to be in St. John, Newfoundland, I might just miss that one. So.
Yeah, thanks, because our carbon footprint, That's going to go on yours, by the way.
But I would say, though, we have no representative, at least I don't think we have anybody representing the island yet.
Yeah.
I think Chris Coleman, councillor for Victoria, did it for many years, and he decided not to run the last election. So there's been some vacancies in the BC caucus due to the municipal elections in October.
Great.
All right, and Director Arbour.
Oh, I don't think I had my light on, but I'll just say, I think Chair Wells said it. I think it's great that after completing a term as president as AVICC, that Director Grieve is willing to serve again at the higher levels, and I think that we should commend him and thank him for that.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of programs that FCM does down here we might not actually even be aware of. At my first FCM, I met some dude from the Ukraine, and we were actually doing basically a political exchange where elected officials from the Ukraine were coming to Canada to learn about our political system, and we were sending people there to help them with theirs as well. So I think programs like that are basically are invaluable in terms of helping democracy around the world, but also really helping countries really kind of integrate with each other and build good neighbor relationships. So having said all that, I think we are on recommendation 14. Has it been moved and seconded yet? Yep. All right. Been a lot of discussion. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And now we got grant and aid. Excellent. And are there any questions regarding the grant and aids? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes.
Move recommendation, but I want it for amendment.
All right.
Well,
We'll make the amendment.
I guess I'll second it.
Do you want to move the amended motion?
Yeah, I guess I should speak to it first. There's just, there's a request, I don't know if I guess it should go through right now, but the request for an early release of funds. One would be for the Agriplex Society, because they've already got bills they're trying to pay to get their PowerPoint together. And the other one is I just got a call this week from Keith Curry from the Comox Valley Exhibition. And last year, the check arrived on the opening day of the exhibition. Mm-hmm. So he was wondering if he could have it moved up a month as well.
All right.
So rather than, usually we release them in August, so if those two could be released in July, perhaps.
And their fall fair is in August.
It's in August.
End of August, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
In the summer, but still called the fall fair.
So is the motion to release early subject
For those 2 items.
to staff acceptance? Is that okay?
No, I think it's common practice,
No,
right?
it wouldn't be staff acceptance. I think it's okay for you to give us that direction at this time.
Second
Yep.
then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's common practice. It's
Yep, and that's clear for staff, I think, so.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Are there any other comments or questions? It's been first and seconded, so all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And now we're into bylaw readings.
I'll move first, second, and third reading of the bylaw 579.
Excellent.
First and second.
First, second,
Then just first and second.
yep, perfect. That's been seconded. Thank you very much. And Director Arbour.
Sorry, we're not on recommendation 1, are we?
Yeah, we are.
We are.
Royston Garbage
Yeah, so just for
Collection
general
Service.
awareness, so this is a small part, for those who are not aware, there was a petition done to basically extend, is this the one?
Yep.
To extend the garbage collection service, and for that, it required 50% of people in that area to do it. And so I'm actually quite pleased that that petition has gone through. And in context for those who have been around, which is not me, but there was a referendum a number of years ago where the rural areas voted against garbage collection through the regional district. So it's kind of interesting to see how things have evolved and seeing the appetite in some of our neighborhoods to join the service. So I just thought I'd comment on that.
And weekly recycling.
And weekly recycling, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Thanks very much. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes.
Second that.
All right, and I'm assuming no questions. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes.
Move bylaw 580.
All right.
Second.
All right, and any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And assuming no further questions, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes.
On to adoption.
I'll move, are we on to recommendation 3, bylaw number 581 for first and second readings?
Second.
Yep, and are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? And that passes.
Second.
Excellent. All those in favor? Any opposed? That passes. And on to adoption
Move adoption.
of.
Bylaws 570.
Thank you.
581?
Oh, 580.
570, I see, is the first one for adoption.
First and second.
If we want to go in order, we could vary the
Oh,
agenda,
I
but
see. I'm sorry.
it'll be more confusing, I think, that way. Moving adoption of 570. All those in favor? Any opposed? That passes.
Move adoption of 578.
Second it.
Excellent. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? And that passes.
Passes.
And that did require a 2/3, but it was unanimous. And under new business, excellent. And we have appointment to AVIC Climate Change Working Group for Director Arbor. And I'll pass it over to Director Arbor to speak to this.
Thank you. I think there will probably be a need just for just a couple of small amendments to the motion. So at AVICC, basically, the City of Victoria gathered a bunch of people, elected leaders, to talk about starting a climate change group for Vancouver Island towards working for a climate action plan for the island. So the motion, I just got that yesterday. Just to be clear, it's not a formally recognized group of the Association of Vancouver Island and Coastal Communities, so I would amend that in the motion, just to say regarding the appointment of a CVRD representative if we want to name the organization who's ultimately going to host this group is actually the City of Victoria, correct? So I would make that amendment. They're going to provide some staff time to host this. And the appointment, I would also add a term of 1 year to the end of this year. So if people are amenable, if you have questions, if you're not at AVICC, so we have Dr. Kettler, who's been involved in the Climate Leadership Council, I believe, and we also have as alternate would be Will Cole Hamilton from the City of Courtenay, who would step in if there's a need. And more information, I mean, they were planning to apply for a major grant for this, but we didn't include that in the motion.
All right. Are there any questions or comments? I don't know that it got moved and seconded yet. Yeah.
Yes,
So,
right. So, I don't know how we captured those two amendments, but I wouldn't present the motion as it was originally stated. Or vote on receiving.
yep. So this is just
With the
receipt.
amendments?
Well, we'll do receipt. We'll take the vote on receipt, and then there's the requested action. So seeing no one else wanting to talk. So all those in favor of receipt? Any opposed? And then there's the recommended action with
I'll
the
move the
adjustment.
amendments.
I'll move the recommended action with those amendments.
Okay.
I'm going to read it out.
Yeah, we should probably read it back. And
I'll move that Jesse Cutler be appointed to the, let's call it the Victoria Climate Change Working Group to represent the Comox Valley Regional District for 2019-2020 with Will Cole Hamilton acting as alternate, and further that remuneration and expense be paid in accordance with our bylaw.
all right. And
For the term of 1 year.
For the term of 1 year.
I just wanted to clarify the date, because I wasn't sure if that meant December 2019, or with the motion we've just read, it's the end of 2020. So what is the end of 1 year date, like December 2019?
How about today, 2020?
Or a year from?
Let's do a year. I think as, I believe the
say a
committee
year
will
minimum
continue
would
whether or
be-
not they receive the grant funding. There seems to be commitment from elected leaders around, so. And just as a heads up, I anticipate that probably over the course of that year, they'll probably approach AVICC to become a formal committee, but that hasn't been done. So I would say for a year to the, June or May of next year. Yeah.
June 1st.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yep. All right. And so it's been first and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And if I get a motion to go in camera? All those in favor? Anybody opposed? And we will start locking the doors.